China's closing exchanges. Cryptocurrency prices falling. What do we do? Is this a buying opportunity, or do we need to wait? What I want to do is go through with you what's going on, and let's all try to figure out when is it good to get in. You don't want to get in too early, and you don't want to miss the boat, right? So let's look at what's happening here. The first thing I want to do is have a point of reference here, which is the last time exchanges closed and it caused a big problem. This is a hit chart of Bitcoin, and let me just show you here. This is the history back. This is October 2013. It was at $100, and a few months later, it was up more than 10x. Okay, then it comes off, and then around here, guess what happens? China says you can't use the yuan to buy Bitcoin. Mt. Gox collapses, and then it's a sad, sad story. This is October 2015 at 280% off its highs. Here's October 2014. So more than a year off, 80% off its highs. Because exchanges closed. Is that what we're in for now? I don't think so. Let me explain. Let's take a look at it. So the main difference, okay, when Mt. Gox, when that went down, that was like the biggest exchange. I think Mt. Gox was about 75% of volume. And then China starts putting on restrictions, and China itself was a bigger player in the Bitcoin market back then. So that was a huge disruption to people's ability to be able to buy Bitcoin. And so that's what gave us 80% off for over a year. This current situation is not that big. But how big is it? Let's take a look. And now I want you to check my math. If I tell you, well, I'm going to tell you, let me tell you first, and then I'll tell you how to check my math. So first of all, it looks to me like Chinese exchanges are 20 to 30% of volume. That's big. That will make prices go down in the short term. But that's not, the 80% or more that was affected in the last crash I showed you. So to me, 20 to 30% is something that can be absorbed. But in the short run, prices go down. I came up with this number. I'll put the link under the video. This coin market cap, 24-hour volume. I looked at all these exchanges, figured out which ones are in Japan. Which ones are in China. And there were a couple question marks. I mean, first of all, Huobi, oh my God, I'm gonna get all the, you don't know how to pronounce it. You're pronouncing it wrong. Oh my God, what is it called? Huobi? Huobi? I'm sure I'm saying it wrong, but Huobi and OKcoin in China are like 60% of the Chinese volume. So if you also hear something in the news that China's gonna work with and Huobi is going to stay in business, sanctioned by China, and that's a big chunk, and then this is a much smaller problem. Those two are good to keep an eye on. The other is Bitfinex, which is in Hong Kong. Is that also going to have to wind down? I don't know. So those three are more than 75% of the 30%. Actually, I didn't even consider Bitfinex into my 20 to 30%. Bitfinex here I'm looking at is 10%. So if you include Bitfinex, the Chinese volume might be 25 to 35%. So the question is, will any exchanges remain open, maybe nationalized? If they do, then then we're not losing all the demand. And there hasn't been clear announcements from China yet, so we don't know exactly what's going on. But if we look at the worst case scenario, they just close them all. Chinese can no longer buy Bitcoin in the short run. I understand in the long run, people figure out, and they're going to do peer-to-peer, and they're going to figure out a way to sort of get around this shit and buy Bitcoin or Ethereum, whatever. But, we're dealing, in the long run, remember, we're all dead in the long run. The question is, for the next several months, So China, another statistic, is that China's economy is 15% of the world. Their GDP is about 15% of the world GDP. that means we are losing about 15% of the people who are potential buyers of cryptocurrency. And we're losing them not forever, not for the long run. I understand there's ways people will figure out how to get around this. But for the next few months, we're losing those exchanges and we're losing those potential buyers. This does affect demand. Now, as I said at the beginning, it's not as big as it was in 2000, whatever that was, 13 crash. But it is significant. It drives prices down. But so the first thing is we need to get some clarification on are all the exchanges just going to disappear or not, and which ones? Are they keeping any alive? And remember, not all exchanges are created equal, and if one big one remains open or two big ones remain open, they say Huobi and Bitfinex are staying open, then this is not even that big of a problem. Okay, so we need to keep our ears open on that or see what's happening. Now, the other thing to watch for, you always have to watch, we have a market going down now. There's other things that can happen, chain reactions. One is there's a lot of speculation, there's a lot of margin out there, and prices go down because of the China thing, but then some exchange in Korea and an exchange in America fails because people on margin couldn't get their money and there's all kinds of problems, and then we see more exchanges going down as sort of a feedback effect. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but again, it can, when prices fall more than 20-30%, it can cause other problems. So we want to keep an eye out for that. The other thing is, keep in mind this market, we love the market long term. It's, cryptocurrencies taking over the world and all that. I'm an evangelist. But right now, if there were 1,000 coins out there, 500 of them are pure bullshit. Okay? Another 400 are well-intentioned, good ideas run by relatively, knowledgeable people who are going to fail. So if this downturn starts sending prices down, who gets hurt the hardest? All the bullshit coins. And then you've got all these young kids who were making 10x on bullshit and run around bragging how they have no uncertainty and doubt. They get killed, they panic, and it sort of, again, makes this thing feed on itself. So makes this Chinese problem, which isn't entirely huge, could turn into something bigger if it creates a bigger panic. So we got to keep our eyes open for that as well. So when do we buy? When do we get in? I'm looking for a couple things. One is I want some clear news. What is going on? Are these exchanges just going to shut down? And it looks like it may take a few weeks for this to play out. I don't know. China wants the exchanges to give them information on how they will wind down, and maybe they're just going to wind all these things down. Or maybe, like I said, they're going to work something out. So one thing I'm waiting for is more news of exactly how much demand, how many potential buyers are we losing? And that's the first measure. And then the other thing is, once we know, then I want to wait for markets to sort of stabilize, because just because we get the news and then we know, and we may get the news and it's only these exchanges, not that big of a deal, but prices are still falling, everything's still falling. I want to wait. Don't try to catch a falling knife. Trying to pick the bottom. Only kids with itchy tushies try to pick the bottom. You know what I'm saying? So I want to wait. It's going to come down. Things are going to look a little stable. Then we're going to know time to jump in. So that's what I'm looking for. So now, like I said, check my math. If Chinese volume is more, or I made a mistake, hey, when you finish telling me how stupid I am and what an idiot I am and how shitty my research is, and once you finish with all that, then please share with us your knowledge so that we can all learn and we can make intelligent decisions and make some money. Thank you.